Hello, welcome to this online webinar by Betty Blocks. Thank you for attending. Of course, we hope you enjoy it. To start, of course, we're open to questions. This Zoom webinar has a special option for Q&A. You can find it in your tool. You can drop your comments and questions during the presentation. If it is possible, I will try to answer them during the presentation, and otherwise afterwards the presentation. There will be room for a Q&A, of course, so feel free to drop me a message. If there are any other comments, the tooling may be not working as you hope it will be, feel free to drop Lisanne, who is in this call as well, a message via chat, and hopefully she can help you with that. So welcome again. Welcome to this online webinar. My name is Chris Obdam. I'm one of the two co-founders of Betty Blocks and currently CEO as well. We are the leading no-code movement and the #1 citizen development platform. We are named a leader and visionary by analysts, and we're pretty proud of that. So thanks again for joining today. I'm currently in our office right now and joined with some of our great staff over here. It's always a pleasure to work with them, and that's why it's always fun to show them a little bit as well, and not only because they are superhuman in this picture, but we think that the humans we have and the people we have inside our company make a difference, and that includes in this presentation as well. Before we continue, let's take a step back and have a look at the world we're doing in this picture over here and see how the world looks like today. If you're looking at IT inside organizations in this world, IT is changing at a fast pace. Everybody knows the world is changing, and that is maybe even more so as an IT person. So the big question is, how do you keep up? There are a lot of giants in the making. Not only Tmall, which is Alibaba from China, is aimed to be by 2020 the biggest retailer in the world. Which of course is a big thing. So it is a big change where this world is going through right now. It's a world of disruption. Everybody's talking about disruption, but that is because disruption is very important for organizations. Disruption is not only Uber happening right now or Airbnb. Disruption happens in every organization, in every sector right now. So in a world of disruption, we say that innovation is the way forward, because you want to be the disruptor and not the disruptee. But of course, the big question is, how do you fix that? We say that you fix that by innovating. And the question then arises, how do you innovate? And what some organizations do, and that's a good thing, of course, is maybe appointing a chief innovation officer somewhere. And that will help. It's a great start and get you at least C-level backing, because it is C-level on its own. Other organizations start an innovation lab, and sure, that helps as well. It's a great start to have a group of people designated to be innovators. But what we say is that for innovation, to be the disruptor, you need everybody. And we mean literally everybody. That means from janitor to CEO, as the slide already states, and from clerk to sales. Why do we mention a janitor? There's a great story about a janitor who worked at NASA in the time when JFK, John F. Kennedy, was a president. JFK was visiting that space center, and he approached the janitor and he asked that, "What's your role?" And the janitor replied, "My role," and then you would expect him to say, "I'm a janitor, I clean this building." But the way he felt it, and that's the only way to approach it, is the way he felt it, is that he said, "My role is to bring a man to the moon." And that's a great story, of course, to tell and to see that you need everybody to become the disruptor inside your own sector, inside your own vertical. And when we're talking about innovation, it is not about technology. It probably never was. Of course, technology is a great driver of a lot of stuff, but at the end, everybody knows it's about people. Because without those people, it's really hard to innovate even if you have the technology. And that's why Betty Block says that true innovation happens through citizen development. And yes, innovation needs software. Everybody knows that for a new product somewhere or a process improvement, unfortunately, I might add, you will always need a piece of software somewhere. And that's maybe 9 out of 10 of the times in terms of innovation. And that's not a bad thing, but sometimes it's holding you back. Because right now, software development is always part of the job that IT has right now. And they are working really hard to keep up with all of the demand because everybody wants to be a disruptor. So there's a high demand on that IT department. And the main task that an IT department mainly has is to keep the lights on. Make sure that all software, that all IT systems keep running. That's the main concern. So if you want to innovate, it's really hard as an IT department to do so. And on the other hand, you have the business who really wants to contribute in this software making process, in this innovating process. They might even be desperate to do it. It's really important because at the end, innovation starts at the business end. There's an operations manager somewhere or a salesperson who really knows how he or she can do their work better. And that's not the IT department. Nothing wrong with that, of course. So that's where innovation starts. But the problem right now is that that business is not able to do stuff themselves. So how do you fix that? So what if, and that's always, of course, the big question, what if they could work together to have business and IT work together and make sure that they create innovation at the same time? How would that look like? And that is what we call citizen development. First, have a look at citizen development to start with in terms of definition. We did a very simple Google query, and if you Google citizen developer, the first result states a citizen developer is a business user who creates business applications for consumption by others using development and runtime environments sanctioned by corporate IT. Well, that's at least a great start in terms of a definition. Let's dive a little bit deeper into citizen development. First, it's important to state the difference between a citizen developer as a person and citizen development as a movement. That citizen developer is the person somewhere building applications as a business person, as is stated on Google, of course. And the movement is a bigger thing. It's a concept. It's about aligning IT and business to make sure that they are able to innovate, but it's also about empowering business users to develop applications without coding. And with that, and that's more important, broaden your development workforce. So why is that important? Because as we stated before, for innovation, you need everybody. So everybody should be able to chime in on innovation, and with that, a little bit of software development as well, because software development is so important for organizations. And hopefully with that, you bridge the gap between business and IT, and hopefully IT will start to facilitate that need that's already there in the business. But what may be even more important is to state is that citizen development is, as said before, not about technology. It's about more than just buying a platform somewhere. It is, of course, a movement, but it's a way to change your organization and make it more innovative. Maybe interesting to give some examples, and the first one is really special to me because the person to the right, who is our co-CEO, is Tim, and that's my brother, the co-founder of Betty Blocks. So how did Betty Blocks came about? It was really simple. We had a previous company and we needed internal software, and I was the developer and my brother was the operations guy. What he wanted to do is create operational excellence, and for that he needed internal software. So he asked the developers inside the organization, let's say the IT department, and of course we created that application for him, but then it needed to be changed as well. And all of the IT guys inside the company were pretty busy. So Tim wanted to do more himself. So he asked the rest of the company, why can I just do this myself? I don't want to learn how to code, but just want to configure that application. And that's how we started building Betty Blocks way back when. So in a way, Tim is our first citizen developer. And it's still a great example to mention. The next one in this call as well, as you can see, is Lisanne, our marketing manager. When she started working with us, she needed better tooling. So she started looking on the internet, and some of the tools fit and the other ones didn't fit that much. So what she did is she took our platform, and without any coding experience, she created tooling for herself to do content planning and other marketing stuff just by a Betty Blocks page, a Betty Blocks application that she built herself. She has a marketing degree, of course, has no technical background, but she knew how the application should look like. And with a little bit of help from the experienced guys, she started building her own application, and she still does. So that is a great example of a citizen developer as well. One step back and look at the low-code market. A lot of people who watch your webinar like this already know what low-code, the concept is, of course, is doing more visual modeling and other stuff to improve the development pace to start with. But if you look at low-code as a category right now, it is important to state that there are two main segments in it. There are a little bit more, but let's focus on these two. The first one that you can see on the left over here is what we call restrictive no-code. That has been here, especially for citizen developers, for ages. You can even name Microsoft Access perhaps as a no-code tool because you can rather easily build applications as well, although they are a little bit simpler. And that's the main thing that you see in no-code platforms right now is, of course, the business is building it, but they're not building real solutions that last forever. And most often are really simple applications. But at the end, what the business wants to do is build entire new products and improve entire processes. And that's a little bit more than just simple no-code development. On the other hand, you have the general low-code, the general purpose low-code tooling and players. What they are mainly targeted at and aiming for is to speed up already existing experienced developers. You see those a lot, and it's really helpful if you have a team of .NET developers somewhere. So it's a really great tool and great tools to do stuff like that. But if you are a citizen developer, it is really hard, or let's say impossible, to use low-code, the general low-code tooling, because they're not aimed to facilitate citizen development. And that's why Betty Blocks is in between of those, because from the no-code view, with Betty Blocks, you're able to build complex applications where business and IT work together in a great way. And that is what we call citizen development. Let's have a look at some live examples, some clients. Let's start with the one to the right, that's Tele2 over here. That's, of course, for people who know the company, a big telco operator. And what they had is a sales department which really needed a tool. They had, of course, a centralized IT department, a great group of people, but didn't have the time to fix the problem of that sales department. So as it always goes, that sales department wanted to fix that themselves. They started looking and they found us, and what we helped them with, so those are just ordinary sales guys, is to build the first version of an application. They did some training, we guided them. So it was still a salesperson who was that citizen developer, and that worked out in a great way. So they built this sales portal, partners could log in and see tons of stuff, and they fixed it in a fairly short period as well. So it was not only a short project, but it was also done by an entire new group of, let's say, developers, no-code developers or citizen developers, and that was really interesting for the company as well. On the other hand, you have Clifford Chance. He is a really big law firm. And what they have is an innovation department. And the innovation department is looking, you can say it's some kind of a center of excellence, perhaps, is what they're looking for is processes that can be improved, which have a great return on that improvement. And what they do is they go look for improvements that they can fix, of course. And what they really want to do is, as an innovative department, in innovation department, what they really wanted to do is make sure that they were in control of the building of that fix for that process. And that's where they use Betty Blocks for. So it is still at the business end. It's not entirely IT as well, but you see that happening a lot as well, where people are solely dedicated to fixing problems in a different way than traditional software development. So that's a great case of citizen development as well. Of course, that's why it's important to us, and we think to all of our clients and potential clients, to embrace those citizen developers. And you can do that by implementing a citizen development policy, of course. because citizen development is more than just buying a platform, is to make sure that your organization fixes and meets all the needs of the citizen developers who are out there. So that means you need to change or adapt your organization a little bit. So how do you implement a concept like citizen development? We start with 6 tips. The first one is, of course, an obvious one, is to frame your strategy. Of course, you don't start with a platform, you try and hopefully you succeed in creating a strategy. And the first one that's of course important to that is to make sure that you understand when the implementation of citizen development is a success to you. And of course that changes per organization. So it's important for you to understand when it's a success for your organization. With that you determine key metrics and of course plan the next crucial steps. And more important, it is important to make it part of your long-term innovation strategy, and hopefully even to make it part of your organization vision as well. Because citizen development is not a goal on its own. You'll make sure that your organization improves, be more successful, and why is being more successful important as well. So at the end, it's the success of your organization where you need to focus on. For that, you need to make sure that you map your main stakeholders to see who they are, how you can get them involved, and hopefully create C-level buy-in for this citizen development implementation strategy as well, because that's the ideal scenario, of course, to make sure that you have C-level buy-in. And of course, goes without saying, to strategize and budgetize your strategy. So when looking at the people, the citizen developers, every organization already has tons of them. You probably don't know who they are, but you can find it out pretty easily, because it's that guy who makes that WordPress site for his hobby somewhere. It's somebody who is that Excel wizard inside your organization, and a lot of other people as well. So as a second step, it's important to make sure that you map who they are. And next to that, that you already start talking to your IT department, if you're not in the IT department, to see how you want the two of them to collaborate. Of course, it's important to determine how all of that will fit in that broader IT space, because if you're in IT, it's a big problem if your entire organization starts to build apps, because you already have enough on your plate, and then you have a lot of other people maybe asking questions. So the position of the IT department in combination with citizen development is really important to make sure to fix that, and there are some tips later on as well. But as an IT department, it's important to ask yourself and to keep laser eye focused on the fact that who is building an application inside my organization, what are they building, what type of applications, and how are they building it, what type of structure, what kind of a process are they following, and where in the organization are they building, and when are they doing that. So it's important at the first steps to just create an inventory of that. There's no need to create an actual policy. First, look inside your organization and see what's already happening right now. Our third tip is an important one, of course, but it's maybe a difficult one as well. But we think that it's really important to fix that, and we can help you with that as well. It's to create a citizen development command center. To start with, it's of course important to find out what the position is going to be of that command center in your organization. Where do you want to position it? Some organizations already have a center of excellence, perhaps, or maybe a different form to it. A team of people who are already looking at the organization and seeing where you can improve processes and other stuff. It's of course ideal if you can combine that somewhere, because a command center like that needs to organize activities, training, promote the concept, of course, to start with, and facilitate the entire community of citizen developers that you might have inside your organization. Third to that is, of course, the maintaining of the citizen development policy and the guidelines, because this is a game that needs rules as well. It's not something that you throw at your organization and hope for the best, because it can be very powerful, but make sure that you create the right policy and guidelines for that as well, and those need to be maintained. Command Center is able to aggregate and provide resources. It's also a knowledge center, of course, and it's important to assume the responsibility of the managing of those applications that need to be built, especially in combination with the IT department. And that IT department needs to be empowered as well. It's really important to make sure that they have the facilities and they have the room to fix all of this as well. Because the last thing that we would like to do is introduce a new problem to the IT department. We are here to fix problems for either the IT department or the business end of an organization. So what do they need to do and where can we help them with that? Is to coordinate with the organization's already existing IT portfolio, make sure that you fit it in the right position of the landscape. And what's really helpful is to catalog, maintain, publish a list of relevant data services and APIs, because with that, you as an IT department gain control over the stuff that citizen developers are building. And that's really important for security and governance as well. More on that later on. And of course, the last thing is goes without saying as well, is that make sure to report the status of the program internally and to external stakeholders perhaps as well, because improving the success of this is really important. Citizen development is really an interesting and very powerful concept, but for a lot of organizations, it's still early days. So people are maybe hesitant in implementing it. So make sure you show the actual results that are out there. Fourth tip is, of course, look for a centralized IT sanction platform. I already know what I'm going to pick. Be sure to visit our website and maybe of others as well. It's really important to get it sanctioned as well, because otherwise you're just, as a department, somewhere using it, and at the end, IT will find out, and then you have a discussion afterwards. And our main strategy for that is to make sure that you do it right from the start, because at the end, it will speed up your innovation process quite a lot as well. It's important to understand what kind of support is going to be offered inside the organization and by whom as well. That can be a part of the command center, it can be part of the IT department, or in a combination of things, but it's important to find out where you want to position it in your organization. And in terms of the actual developing of an application, it is really important to make sure that you know when an application will be transferred to IT, if it will be, because otherwise, as a business department, you need to make sure that you're able to maintain that application, do the maintenance of that application in the long run as well. And most business departments are not set up to do so. So it's important to get that right. If you have all the basic in place, the basic stuff in place, it all starts with promoting the concept within the organization. And it's really important to just start with explaining the concept. We've been talking to a lot of our clients and a lot of potential clients about citizen development. And the most important thing that I found out is that employees inside an organization don't know where to start. It's just as simple as that. Everybody wants to chime in on innovation, but am I allowed to do this process? And where can I start? So that is really important to start with that. And after you have communicated and promoted the concept, keep on doing it. Make sure that HR is involved. Make sure that marketing in terms of internal communication is involved as well. And if you have success, make sure to put it out there. Of course, when you start, it's important to facilitate in training, because that training is also a gatekeeper of the people who are doing the actual citizen development inside organizations. So make sure that you offer training and that you make it mandatory before you can start as well. It's really important to fix that. We have different tooling for it as well, where our platform can help you to facilitate in that process. We can help you with the citizen development portal. And in that portal, people can submit a request to do an app development somewhere. So it's not only about app development, but also in facilitating that process. And that's where we want to be a thought leader and also the best in field, best of breed as well. If you are training people, you educate, you create assessments for them, and of course, make sure to certify them, because everything should have the right ending to it as well. It's not a one-off thing. Of course, training needs to be continuous. So it's not only about classroom training, but also maybe offering workshops inside an organization, maybe hackathons, pizza nights or whatever. And when you're creating that community, skill sharing is really important, because as stated before, it's not really about technology. It's about people fixing problems. And that's only done if you share your skills that you already have. The sixth tip that we have is, especially when you approach it from an IT department, a really important one. The first question that we get when we are talking about citizen development with our clients and when we're doing research is, okay, this is a great thing if business people are building applications, but it's really important to make sure it happens in the right way. And in terms of IT, it is all about governance. And why do you need governance? Because you want to gain control over it. And control nowadays means IT department saying, no, you can't. But what we want to offer is, yes, you can, if you make sure you follow the right rules. And that really can change your organization. For that, of course, you need to centralize it first, all the citizen development activity, and make sure that you delegate the ownership of quality control and monitor to start with, of course. We have some best practices where we can help you with. Make sure to reach out or book an expert session after this meeting, or just reach out to me and we can help you with that. Of course, the third one is what we offer is an out-of-the-box security features platform, security featured platform. That means that when you build application based on the Betty Blocks platform, every application is secure by design. And of course, security is something that it's only 100% secure if you audit it as well, and we offer services to do so as well. But that's the thing that is more than application development. It's also about governance, control, and security. And for security, you need to train people to make sure that they will comply with guidelines and for security, but also data security as well. Let's have a look at some recommendations that we can do after the research that we have done with a lot of enterprises and that we are doing in joint effort with other corporations as well. First off is just more a state of mind. When you start implementing new stuff, it's always important, especially with what we're talking today, is to understand that trial and error is to be expected. And what I always hope that implementing something like this inside your organization or just doing some proof of concept stuff with it is just fun to start with. Because in my view, everything starts with fun. If you have fun doing your job or doing your or implementing something, that is just 90% of the drive that you need. So hopefully trial and error is not a bad thing, but hopefully a fun thing to experience and a learning experience. Second recommendation is that centralized organization that we are talking about earlier on as well. Can be a center of excellence or a command center. We have some great examples later on that we can tell you about as well. So make sure to reach out about that. And if you are creating governance and governance policies on top of citizen development, make sure that you approach that with openness, with transparency, because that will make sure that everybody in the business side will be bought into this as well. Every application that is being built is not an island on its own in this big ocean. It's more a spider in a web somewhere. There are a lot of connections to be made with other systems. So make sure from an early start to focus on which integrations with other systems are you allowing? How are you allowing that? And you can already create pre-built integration blocks that can be readily reused by citizen developers as well. And that really helps the process because a lot of the applications, what we have learned, get stuck at the moment of integrations because it wasn't tackled to start with. So make sure you do that before you start, or at least start the process from the beginning of the application when it's being built. And the final one is to incorporate fundamental pillars like resources, training, collaboration, and security, as we discussed before as well. So if you want to find out more about this, reach out to us. You can schedule an expert session on this URL, bettyblocks.com/expert-session. One of our colleagues is always happy to help. And we want to hear from you as well what your experiences are, or which problems you think you are encountering or looking at right now in terms of your own business. Because this is not research that is done and is final, of course. As stated before, this is more something that is really early stage for a lot of organizations. So what we want to do is share our knowledge, share our experience, and hopefully you can do that with us as well. So if you have some experience somewhere, let us know, because we are really eager to find out what your experience is. So just let us know. If you want to learn more about governing citizen development, we already wrote an excellent white paper, if I might say, about governing citizen development. And one of the titles that's in there that I really like is about citizen development. Because if you implement or use citizen development inside an organization without governance, it is still shadow IT. And a lot of us probably know what shadow IT is. It's just some department somewhere going rogue, building an application, nobody knows about it. It's not secure, it's not maintained, and other stuff. So that's why this is a really big topic for us as well. So make sure to read this citizen developer governance white paper. You can read the URL over there or just search on it on Google and you'll find it as well. I see there is a question. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to add. I'm going to have a look at what the question really is. If Zoom is helping me with that, not yet. Let me have a look over at the screen. What was the name again? Yeah, we have a question from Jean-Pierre, if I'm correct, about testing environments that we offer. Yes, that's possible, of course. Just reach out to us and we can set up a call where we can do a short introduction about our platform. You can have a look at it, ask some questions, and if that is okay with you, then afterwards you can have a look at it as well. So make sure to just reach out to us and then we can fix that for you. And there are other forms of documentation that you can use as well. Hopefully that answers your question, Jean-Pierre. Otherwise, just let us know. There's an additional question from Edward Lubbers. It states, citizen development, as you've presented it so far, seems to be focused on corporates and large organizations. Would it work well for SMEs as well? It's an excellent question, Edward, and thank you for that. We think it can work for SMEs as well. It's not really about the size of your organization, but how well you are able to integrate the concepts behind it. And some smaller organizations are maybe struggling with it. What I always try to explain is if you have a group or you have an organization which is around 50 people or so, and you have 10 people doing innovation stuff other than just their normal day job, the impact is a little bit higher. So it's maybe easier for an enterprise to incorporate citizen development. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work for small and medium enterprises. So I would love to have a talk with you about that. So we'll reach out to you if that's okay with you. But the short answer is it is possible. So let us know. Let me check if there are some additional questions in here. Feel free to drop them otherwise. Let me have a look at the chat as well. If there are some, there's one open over here. Okay, thank you, Jean-Pierre. Is the chat, let me do a final check with the chat over here. Okay, that's clean as well. Of course, thank you all for attending. And hopefully we can talk at a later stage as well. As said before, I'm really looking forward to all of your experiences. So just let us know somewhere. Let me see, there's a chat in here before I finish up. Oh, it's not in there, but thank you. We have some more webinars coming up as well. So May 28th, Eastern time, 1 p.m. Platform demo about how to create a case management application. So for all of you who don't have the time to schedule maybe a demo and a trial for yourself, you can always have a look at that webinar. There's an additional one June 17th. Meet Your Citizen Development. That's more a panel discussion where we're going to talk about what type of citizen developers there are, and we're going to have some people who have experience with that as well joining us. And then 2nd of July, how IT professionals align with the business to accelerate business and innovation. That is more the approach of citizen development from the point of view of the IT department, because it takes two to tango in citizen development. So let me do a final check. We're okay, so thank you again for attending. Be sure to schedule an expert session if you like, or just download other white papers from the website. So thank you again, and looking forward to talk to you soon again. Bye.